Victor Hugo once stated, "Slavery still exists, but it applies only to women, and its name is prostitution." Good day, I am Abigail P. Amaralia, together with my colleague Ria Honyo and John Martin Edgar Siscon. We will be reporting a problem of our country for over a decade, and its name is prostitution.
Prostitution is the practice of engaging in relatively indiscriminate sexual activity, in general with someone who is not a spouse or a friend, in exchange for immediate payment in money or the valuables.
Prostitution is a rampant crime this time. It was a horrible crime where victims are given less chances of escaping. Way back at 2400 BCE, were the earliest recorded mention of prostitution as an occupation. Up until now, prostitution was legalized in some specific places, such as Nevada.
Hence, majority of the world's nations legalized prostitution, while others declined the legalization of this.
Prostitution in the Philippines is illegal, although somewhat tolerated by law enforcement, being rare with regards to sex workers. Penalties range up to life imprisonment for those involved in trafficking.
In the Philippines, prostitution is available through bars, karaoke bars, massage parlors, brothels, street walkers, escort services, and online pornography.
Thank you, Abigail. Moreover, prostitutes have entered by many because of poverty. Many young ones go into prostitution so as to make ends meet. The first reason why women turned into prostitutes is to make money. The poverty rate increasing at an alarming rate, and people, especially those that are not disciplined, venture into other means of making money. Some young ladies who are in school with no parental support or any other means of funds to fend for themselves see prostitutes as a means of survival and continuity of their education. Some victims of prostitution is also a victim of rape, child labor, and trafficking. Some sex workers are victims of sex slavery, rape, child labor, and trafficking. Those who are sexually abused or raped when they are young see nothing great, divine, or important about sex. Their conceptions about sex have been derailed due to their childhood experiences. Some have low self-esteem and others have sexual disorders that later lead them into prostitution. Some young ones are forced into sex slavery and pornography. Peer pressure is also a reason behind of some prostitution. Most people or ladies that are in this act are being lured by friends, siblings, or family members. Peer group has the highest influence on a child. The people a child moves with determines who he or she will become. Youths are majorly influenced by people around them since they have not really mapped out the pathway of their life. Laziness and thirst for quick wealth. Youths and students nowadays are lazy. They want to make money and live in luxury without hard work. Those that work with little wages are being intimidated by their colleagues that are making money without work. This drains the morale of the innocent ones, thus making them to be involved in prostitution. Some young ones that are from wealthy families are also involved in this act. They are greedy to have more wealth and money apart from the ones given to them by their parents. Lack of parental care. Most children became wayward when they have no one to guide and monitor them. Those with busy or carefree parents tend to be used into various social vices. The ladies are free to attend parties, where they are exposed to bad influence, and girls already involved in prostitution will deceive and lure them into prostitution. Prostitution is a vice that should not be legalized nor encouraged. Although it is the oldest profession, at the same time a dangerous one. Prostitutes are exposed to sexually transmitted disease, unwanted pregnancies, and other social vices, such as drug addictions, thuggery, among others. And now let us hear Ria Waluonyo for the money distribution and the pros and cons of legalizing the prostitution.
Why do men go to prostitute? In a way, the prostitute is shooting the psyche of that man. It is the heart rate of women, and there are those experts in the field who believe that men who frequent prostitute have a real heart rate of women. For these hate-filled men, women are made submissive and are humiliated through the process of purchasing sexual favors. Visiting a prostitute is usually only about the sex. It isn't about the friendship. It isn't about the ego or admiration or conquest. It is a cold and emotional business transaction. How they distribute the money. Money distribution in prostitution depends on how they recruit or syndicate divided the income. In the Philippines, most prostitutes will be given money unfriendly, especially when they are forced. But because most victims here were children that are given unequal rights to live as well as an unfair distribution of money with regards of prostitution. There are lists of pros of legalizing prostitution. Number 1, prostitution legalization can protect women from abuse and violence. It cannot be denied that there are sex workers who get physically abused or become victims of violence from their pimps and even clients. Women prostitution in countries or states wherein it is considered illegal are less likely to report to the authorities when they get hurt. On the other hand, legalizing prostitution can give women more rights and encourage them to seek help if violation has been done to them. Number 2, it can reduce or lessen the spread of sexual transmitted diseases. Unlike illegal prostitution, wherein sex workers might be forced to engage in sex without condom, legalizing it can allow the state to impose the use of protection when engaging in commercial sex and for workers to get regularly tested for sexual transmitted diseases or called STSs. Number 3, it can be added revenue for the government. By legalizing this practice, brothers, workers, and other related business will be obligated to pay taxes. Countries and cities with legal prostitution will be earning from their tax revenues just like what they earn from the other legal business. Here are some list of cons of legalizing prostitution. Number 1, it is a dangerous business to get into. Even with the discriminalization of prostitution, women and even children can still suffer from violence and physically abused. People who are into this profession are prone to rage. The mortality of sex workers are higher as opposed people would have their other jobs. Number 2, it can encourage human trafficking. Human trafficking, especially of children, is rampant in some parts of the world, and even within a country itself, with poverty driving some parents to sell their their children to sexual predators is alarming, and if prostitution will be legal, more children will be forced to be sex workers. Number 3, it can promote the spread of sexual transmitted diseases. Once prostitution is legalized, it can encourage more people to solicit and commit infidelity. Some people are not even into using protection. STDs can be contracted from having multiple partners, and legalizing prostitution make this commonplace. To avoid prostitution, society needs to preserve the rule of prostitution towards women by changing social attitude about prostitution, by reducing less pornography and making more sense about showing entertainment. Enforcing law of the street is important to decrease prostitution in the communities. The presence of police should also be increased in indoor prostitution venues. Getting the community involved also important to put a stop of prostitution. Before they are released from the treatment program, they must have a stable environment to go to. It has to be the same location as the treatment program. Prostitution seems like a quick way to make money, but very often it does not end well for the individual.
For those who plan their vacations around spas or theme parks, it might bring a queasy shock to realize that an alarming number of Americans plan their vacations around the flesh of children. Every day, young girls are bought and sold in developing countries where the grim economics provide a cheap and vast selection for the average sex tourist. And after a 6-month investigation, we found that Americans are not only buying, some are also selling. But little do they know, the authorities are also watching, even over there. And tonight, Nightline producer Alex Waterfield and ABC's Alex Marquardt take us to the Philippines and take us inside the raid.
Tonight, in a far-flung part of the Philippines, Arthur Benjamin is in a good mood.
All the 30 girls running around, I'm good.
Laughing, drinking, ogling the girls dancing on stage at this bar, which he says he owns.
This is your life. In a nutshell, pretty much.
Benjamin is a 49-year-old American suspected of having sex with underage girls and selling them for sex out of this bar called Crowbar. But as he drinks, Benjamin has no idea that at that very moment,
the first target is going to be in the Crowbar.
Filipino and American authorities are just a few miles away.
See you out there, good luck.
Plotting a raid that will bring his world crashing down.
Okay, we're ready.
This is the story of Arthur Benjamin. We traveled to Subic Bay, a beautiful part of the western Philippines where Benjamin has been living for 25 years. But our journey went deeper, past Benjamin, into the dark and disturbing world of underage prostitution, discovering how all too easy it is to buy sex with underage girls.
How old are you?
14.
You're 14.
The Philippines has quietly emerged as a top destination for Americans, not just looking to have sex,
There's 16-year-olds in there, I guarantee it.
but to sell sex as well.
But I have about 300 girls working for me, and they go all night for $30.
A lot of the Americans want to come here because they perceive it's easier to operate here than in the United States, and we're happy to remind them that they are sadly mistaken.
Eric McLaughlin is a special agent with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, investigating Americans who may be committing crimes here in the Philippines. For the Benjamin case, he recently teamed up with a local nonprofit organization called PREDA.
We have our undercover team,
which has been gathering evidence against Benjamin for months.
It's my job as a U.S. law enforcement investigator to determine if those allegations are accurate, and if they are accurate, we will pursue them to the ends of the earth to make sure they're held accountable.
We want to meet Benjamin and see for ourselves what's going on inside that bar.
red light recording.
So producer Alex Waterfield and I put on these tiny hidden cameras that look like shirt buttons. We hop on a local jeepney to head down to a rundown part of town to Benjamin's bar. We don't know what to expect.
Hello, sir.
Around a dozen young women are milling around, including this one.
What's your name?
Princess.
Princess is one of the most popular girls in the bar. She's just 16 years old.
Do you like to take them out if you want?
And it's not long before Princess and another girl are offered to us.
How much to take a girl out?
1.5 each.
1,500 pesos, just under $40.
Saan mamamasan?
Mama Lucy is what's called a mama-san. She manages the girls. We decline her offer, but she calls Benjamin to come meet us.
Alex. Alex Hart.
Good to meet you.
Let's sit over at the bar and we can look.
Within minutes, the 6'6" Texan tells us about his sex life and his business.
My wife recently found out that I have this place.
A former waitress had written to his wife in California on Facebook, which leads to this shocking and frank statement.
She sent her this thing saying that I've got underage girls that stay here with me. I in the I own a bar. I've got other girls that I'm putting through high school and all this other crap. All of which is true. However, I have to deny.
Oblivious to our hidden cameras, Benjamin tells us he has a 16-year-old girlfriend who lives in a house out back.
Now we call her my chocolate. She's a little tiny, very dark-skinned girl. She needed a place to stay. I needed a place to do her. I bought a bar for her. There you go.
And after texting her to come over, she walks in. She's so young, we're blurring her face to protect her identity.
Her actual name is Jade. Are you going to find anything like this in the state? As a guy my age, nothing can happen. You said anything I want, anytime I want. I know, I'm going to hell, I know.
Benjamin's declaration was so stunning, the following morning we felt we had to alert Special Agent Eric McLaughlin. But he says building a case against Benjamin requires more evidence.
So this guy saying on tape, I've had sex with underage girls repeatedly, that's not enough to arrest him?
No, it's a very strong indication, but we have to, as investigators, we have to prove these actual acts occurred. And me just saying that, that's not enough.
The key might be this 18-year-old girl named Marisol. Until December, she worked at Benjamin's bar. Today, Marisol has come to the Prada Center, the nonprofit that began tracking Benjamin and identifies in photos 4 girls who work there, who she says are underage, including the one we met, Princess.
Why did you decide to tell your story? What did you want to happen?
I felt hopeless working in the bar, she says, and that my friends, especially the minors, feel the same way. I wanted to tell my story and to save them. Benjamin isn't the only American capitalizing on the demand. Many in this long string of bars in Subic Bay are owned or managed by Americans. Many of them are military veterans.
We got like 8 bars, all foreign-owned, military, Marines, Army. It's really well organized. People just don't understand the magnitude of what we got going on here.
Subic Bay was home to a U.S. naval base for almost 50 years, providing a boon to the prostitution industry.
Here's $30 that's going to like feed their whole family for a week, you know? Enjoy it, man. Don't get too wrapped up in your head about it.
To see how easy it is for Americans to find underage girls, we visited the neighboring town of Angeles, 45 minutes from Subic Bay and Art Benjamin's bar. It takes less than half an hour before we're approached by this woman, who offers us not just young girls, but virgins.
How many different girls do you have?
214 and 216 and 115.
And for each one, it's $30,000 or $750. We will talk about it, and maybe we'll come back and see you, okay?
Later that night, we meet the woman and the girls near a busy intersection.
How old are you?
15.
You're 15. And you?
14.
You're 14. You're in school. What grade are you in?
Second.
Second, so 8th grade. You look very nervous.
No.
Don't be scared. It's okay. This is your aunt.
Yeah, auntie.
This is your auntie.
Yeah.
She loves you?
Yeah, very much.
Then why is she asking you to do this?
Because she know we need money. That's why. Instead of they just give to the Filipino men who don't have job, lazy. It's good that they just tell their terror, right?
Well, that was incredibly disturbing. They were both obviously so young, and it was so easy for us to find them. We said no thank you and walked away. When we come back...
Crowbar, that's it. That's it. We've got to be fluid and fast. Get out, go.
Authorities decide to make the final move on Arthur Benjamin.
I want to see your hands. Sit down.
But will they have enough evidence to arrest him?